In today's video, we're going to talk about how to plan for your real estate business to have its best year ever in 2025. Let's dive right in. In a previous video, I covered my predictions for rolling into the new year, but let's talk about your predictions for your actual real estate business, your personal profitability, your net P&L. I think it's probably become clear at this point that I'm in real estate. I've been at this now for 10 years. I haven't done crypto, Amazon automation, or any of the other BS you've seen people like pivot to. For some of us, we've decided this is our field. This is how we're going to make our money. And that means that we're in the market in great markets, like when rates were 2% and properties were flying off the shelf. And we're in it in challenging markets like what 2024 was for a lot of folks. My goal for you in 2025 is that you stop just taking whatever comes to you and you start living with purpose and direction. So I've got a list of questions here that I'm going to give you that I want you to take some time, think about, journal about, and really map out what you want your 2025 to look like. The first thing that I think we just kind of have to ask ourselves is, what do we actually want? What kind of money do we want to be making? What do we want to do with that money? Why is that important to us? Do we want to travel? Do we want to spend time with friends and family? Are there causes that we care about? Is it really going to be a growth year of, hey, I want to kind of break through this threshold I've become comfortable with? Is it a year of just taking serious ownership for where we're at and what the path forward needs to look like? Or is it more of a work-life balance kind of, hey, I've made my money, but I want to now kind of enjoy life a little bit more? I think almost more important than what we want is why we want it and why that's important. What does success in this mean for you? What does failure in this mean for you? When we have kind of those tough moments, remembering why we're doing all of this to begin with and where we want to end up can provide a lot of context and clarity. I was talking with my videographer, Ryan, earlier. That's easy to remember his name because Ryan and Ryan. And I was reminiscing on when the Navy sent my wife and I from San Diego over to Pensacola, Florida. And I was super frustrated with it at the time. So was my wife. She was like 8 months pregnant. It was this long road trip because she was too pregnant to drive. I think we got there on like a Thursday, met our doctor on a Friday, and her water broke like a month early on that Saturday. And I remember being pretty salty. Like, why are we here? Now I fast forward out 4 years past that, and my wife actually just promoted because of relationships, contacts she made, and work she did while she was in Pensacola. This was an absolutely huge life and career moment for her, something she thought would simply never happen. I think as people, our time horizon and how we're weighing if things are going well or not is really, 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 really small. If I look at that moment when they made us leave, it was like, this doesn't make any sense. Why us? If I had known then what I know now, yeah, absolutely. I'll make that drive 10 times over. Once we've started to get a handle on what we want our life to look like and why, the third thing we have to figure out is, how much does that cost? I think a lot of folks go through life wishing for things. I think I've shared this on YouTube once before, but I was talking to one of my siblings and they were like, man, someday I would love to own a Lamborghini. I was like, okay, what does it cost? How do you make that money? And in what time frame are you going to do it? That's a very different plan than, man, someday, wouldn't that be cool? Versus, yeah, I know it's going to cost me X. I'm able to generate that through Y, and I'm going to do it in this time frame. When we just want things, but we haven't mapped out the actions or steps or even what it costs to make that happen, there's no way to tell if we're on pace or off pace or if we're going to end up there or not, which kind of ties into my next point. If we know what we want, we know why it's important, and we know how much it costs, the next question becomes, how do I predict those results or forecast that outcome? I'm in a mastermind group for entrepreneurs that are doing over 7 figures a year called Entrepreneurs Organization, or EO. I think they're one of the largest, oldest mastermind groups in the country. They're also global at this point now, which is super duper cool. This summer, I was listening to a gentleman present though, and he said something that I was like, how do you do that? He said in his business, he can tell you what they're going to make next week, next month, next year, and even 2, 3, 4, and 5 years after that. Now I'm sitting there like, how? Like, how on earth do you have that level of certainty? And it comes down to tracking both the inputs and the outputs required to hit those results. In the past, I've done exercises of like, what do you want? What does it cost? How many deals do you need to get that to come up with a marketing budget that you can then go charge after? But the fact of the matter is a marketing budget is only like 1/5 of the equation. We have other things like, well, how do we work those leads? How do we convert those appointments? What is our lead to contract ratio? What is our contract to close ratio? If we really want to get scientific with being able to predict what your 2025 looks like as you're going through it, these are things we've got to know. What I personally find with most real estate investors is they don't have enough leads, they don't have enough at-bats, they're not doing enough marketing, where it feels just kind of random or happenstance. As we start to look at how many leads we need, how many deals we need, how many appointments we need, how many closings or listings we need to make these goals that are very important to us a reality, we also have to ask the honest question of what needs to change. Are there places in your business that you're overspending that you need to stop? Are there staff that you have that you shouldn't have? Are there folks you've delegated things to, but not tracked or held them accountable? Is it you've been doing everything yourself and you finally need some help this year because you can't be in 12 places at once? As we look at the metrics of increasing at-bats, increasing opportunities, increasing closings, all of that results in actual more work. One of the things I covered in the what I think is going to happen in 2025 video is access to capital, right? One of the things that might need to change for you is, well, shoot, looking at these deals, looking at the marketing budget, the number of flips or listings, or simply looking at the number of deals that I would like to transact, my existing capital isn't going to do it, or my existing banking relationships aren't going to make that happen. So what do you need to change in the business to move things forward? Which kind of ties me into one of my last points. And I think I got this from a church I was in at some point. So if you're feeling preached at, sorry, not sorry, but that's what needs to die in me to become who I want to be or who I claim that I want to be. I can't claim to want to be somebody who is well off, lives a life of margin, if I'm going deeper and deeper into debt every month and not reducing my spending. I can't claim that I want to be in great shape so that I can play with my son if I don't want to adjust the food that goes into my mouth or the exercise that I put out of my body. I've seen more men in real estate get divorced than I care to count at this point. And I think it ties back to not having honest, tough conversations like this. I can't claim that family is everything to me if I'm not communicating with my wife or having conversations or putting myself in situations that I shouldn't be in. If I retroactively look back at the amount of success that I've had over my life, I think most of it comes down to one lesson I learned at like 13 years old. And that's this lie that one day we're just going to grow up and change and be different. I don't know about you, but at the time of shooting this video, I'm 31 and I've yet to have a day where I woke up and was like, today's the day that I'm an adult or a man or something in me changed. Some people will say like birth of a son, getting married. Oh, when this happens, then I will. Oh, when that happens, then I will. I can tell you after I had a kiddo, I just wanted to sleep more than ever before because I was tired all the time. I wanted less to show up and act like an adult than I did prior. One of the things that I actually personally haven't shared yet anywhere outside of friends and family, I quit any THC back in December of last year. I had to ask myself the honest question of, do I think this is helping or hurting me, my reputation, my integrity, my character? Am I better off going through life a little numb and hazy, or do I want to be fully present? I had a couple conversations this year with my business coach, Chuck Balsamo, that I was like, man, what a lame year to quit drugs. Hindsight 2020 though, I'm glad I did. Is this going to be the year where you set yet more New Year's resolutions that you're not going to keep, or are you going to start living with purpose?